Thank you for participating in this second workshop of the Academic Enhancement Program. Today's topic is time management and study skills. I know these two areas are not always that simple to discuss, and there are tons of books written about these two topics. So how do we cover this information in 30 minutes or less? Today I will present a few ideas that may help you get more organized, which typically translates into better study skills. Let's get started with the best tip that I've ever heard when it comes to time management. We don't plan to fail, we simply fail to plan. It is important to know what it is that you need to accomplish and the deadline you have to accomplish each activity. Planning is an integral part in staying organized and less stressed. We can't change the number of hours in the day, so how do we balance out the many roles that we play in life? This example defines three: the learner role, the worker, and the friend or social time role. What other roles do we play that can take up our time? They could possibly include family, church, community member. Some students ride horses and train animals, and others are simply addicted to running or bicycling. I am sure you can think of some activities or roles that you play that may be a better fit for you. Once we define all the roles we need to play, we will want to define the activities or demands each role places on us. We will also want to take into consideration that each day we have fixed time, which are items that generally don't change or occur on a regular basis, and we have flex time, which are events that you have control over, such as eating, visiting, cleaning, fun, relaxation, exercise, etc. Let's spend a little bit of time talking about the fixed time in our lives. During your fixed times, it's a good idea not to schedule any activity during these times. So make your list of fixed times, such as class schedule, work schedule, etc. Do you consider your study time fixed time or flex time? Think about that for a moment. Do you plan your study time? It is important to incorporate your study time into your fixed time. The more regimented you get, the more productive you will be with that time. You may notice if you are using a weekly or daily calendar that classes generally have 5 to 15 minutes between each class period. How much of that time do you waste visiting with classmates or just twirling your pen waiting on the professor to get started? Use this flex time to your advantage. What are some study activities that you could do during that time? Have you thought of any? Maybe you could review your notes from the previous class, survey the next chapter for a class, or read the summary or conclusion of a chapter. Taking advantage of these small increments of time will also aid in your studies. The more often you review your notes, the more it will help aid you in your long-term memory. That way, the night before a test, you can spend the time reviewing information rather than relearning the information. How many times have you sat down the night before an exam and looked over notes that you didn't even remember writing? So you find yourself having to relearn the information rather than simply reviewing the information. Once you are able to define your flex times and your fixed times, another helpful hint when it comes to studying is to make realistic goals. These four will help you in staying organized and not getting overwhelmed with the information you need to cover during your study time. Plan ahead. Simply writing down the exam dates doesn't allow you to build a study plan. Think constantly about Murphy's Law. That way, if something happens, you have the time to allow for unscheduled emergencies. This method will require you to give up some of your freedom and flex time. Don't overcommit. Recognize your limitations. If you need to work over 30 hours a week, should you be a full-time student? Remember to find that balance between the number of roles that you have committed to. Schedule every activity. Know exactly what you plan to accomplish every day. We'll follow up in just a second about reinforcing the activity of writing things down. Allow for rest. It is important to refill your cup daily in order to have the energy to meet all of your goals. Build the rest time into your schedule. Not only include your sleeping hours, but also the mental breaks you need to recover from the day. I like calling them mini mental vacations. Let's revisit writing things down for a moment. How many of you received a planner during your orientation class? The college believes so much in the value of managing time that we provide each new student with a planner. If you have not received one, then please visit the dean's office. Many students now use their phone, but most still prefer actually writing things down in a planner and touching it, which helps place the item in long-term memory. Whichever version you use, I strongly encourage you to have some form of a calendar. Remember to be realistic with your to-do list. It never hurts to include the details in your planner. Obviously, you'll want to include your long-term goals, such as an exam or term paper. You will also want to list the short-term goals. How do you define them? Let's stop and think, what are some activities or priorities that you would want to take care of during your study time? Here's a formula you will want to keep in mind. Think about how many chapters will the next test cover. How many days or study periods do you have before that exam date? Okay, so you'll need to break the 3 chapters into manageable assignments. It may require you to read a chapter per week or even per day, depending on your schedule. Sometimes you may find that you'll have to adjust your fixed study time because of the demand of your classes. So that is why your flex time is important. Can you fit 30 minutes of study time into some of your flex time or social time? Just to remember to update your planner often so that you can keep up with your goals. Another simple trick is to use colors to define your activities. This technique will help you glance at your schedule and know quickly the type of activity you have or the class you need to prepare for. The example on the slide uses a different color for each class or subject. I use Microsoft Outlook for my calendar. I use blue for meetings, red for college student appointments, yellow for non-college student appointments, green if I'm going to be off campus, and other colors as necessary. I can glance quickly and I know if I need to be in class or if I have a meeting with a student. Here are some other good suggestions to keep in mind as you prepare to be a better manager of your time. The first one, obviously, attend class. Schedule regular study periods. Be realistic with your goals. Study when you're wide awake. Set a specific goal for each subject you study. Remember, breaking them down into measurable components. Start assignments as soon as they are given. It never helps to procrastinate. It simply adds to stress in your life. Study your most difficult subjects first. Review regularly. You may also want to vary your work so that you don't get bored. And then finally, reward yourself. If you did well on your test, or if you accomplished your paper by the deadline, then it's time to give yourself a break and do something fun. Once you've created this perfect schedule, now how do you focus to achieve the goals you've established for that study period? Here are some additional habits that will help you drive through the disturbances you find when you're trying to study. First, clear your mind. If things jump in your head, free your mind by just dealing with them. If it doesn't take very long, go ahead and do it, such as a load of laundry. Get it in the washer and then go back to studying. If it will take a while, jot the issue down and plan time for it later. By writing it down, you can let go of it and refocus on your studies. Speaking of focus, mental discipline works. Tell yourself, I'm going to study hard for this exam, and when I'm finished I can daydream all day, or I can go to a party with my friends, or just simply take a day off. Don't worry about it. Try putting your personal problems aside while you are studying. It is hard to do, but you can learn to compartmentalize your thoughts. You can't control them while you're studying, so set it aside emotionally. It takes practice, but you can become quite effective at it. If things continue to distract you, then you may want to visit with a teacher or a counselor to help resolve some of them. Switch subjects frequently. If you are easily bored, switching subjects will give you a variety that will help ward off some of the boredom. Do not disturb. Turn your phone to silent, not vibrate. The vibration will also distract you. How many times have you sat in class and felt your phone vibrate? You begin to focus and worry more about who called or texted versus what information the professor is sharing. And of course, get your Z's. Lack of sleep destroys your ability to concentrate. Most people need 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. Your body best functions on a schedule. Constant changes in your sleep habits are very disruptive. It is beneficial for you to stay on the same schedule, even on the weekends. Yes, even on the weekends. Your body will function more effectively, especially if you are able to do the same or similar activities on a daily basis. Here are 3 additional points to keep in mind while you're adapting to improving your concentration. They include, developing a new habit takes almost 1 full month. Don't give up the first few times because it seems a little more difficult. Practice certainly will improve your habits, and eventually it will become more routine. These habits will certainly improve your mental capacity and make you much more effective with the time you have set for studying. If you think these habits are too much trouble, here's some good advice to consider from 2 students. One student stated, "Time management is such a crucial aspect every student needs to know, be it to manage time while studying, day-to-day activities, and mostly during exams. Time is a key player in any student's life." Another student mentioned, "Using your time wisely will help you achieve more success in your life." The real key is that once you establish these skills as a student, they will transition easily into your career, skills that most employers find very attractive. Along with the advice from other students, you'll find these skills will help you be more content in your life. Your new time management habits can change how you look at life, and if these skills are done correctly, you'll actually end up having more personal and free time. It sure worked for this guy. Finding this balance will help you with all the roles you play in your life, not just a student. But as I mentioned before, employers will appreciate these soft skills, and you will be rewarded for them. Remember, the best advice for time management is this key phrase: we don't plan to fail, we simply fail to plan. If you would like to receive further assistance on these 2 topics, feel free to contact me. Good luck with the rest of the semester.